Good morning, everyone. So, we will be discussing the audiolingualism as approach in teaching language. I am Lady May Ann Assis, the first discussant for this topic. Once again, our topic for today will be the audiolingual method of teaching English. So, our learning target for today's discussion is that at the end of this lesson, you will learn the meaning, characteristics, history, goals, approaches, principles, roles of the learners and teachers, and the limitations of audiolingual methods. So what is audiolingual method? Audiolingual method refers to the method used for foreign language teaching where students are made to listen to the language first and then speak in order to learn the target language. Thus, the main focus here is on the listening and speaking skills. That's why listening and spoken language is emphasized in this method. And the mother tongue is not used inside the class as the focus is on the target language. Next, we have brief historical account in audiolingual method. So this method is also known as the New K or Army method. So this was originated back during the period of the World War II, as one of the major needs and challenges of the war was to find people who could decode languages and codes of the enemy. So those American servicemen that were appointed all over the world felt difficulties in communicating with other countrymen. That's why the government needed personnels who could understand and speak other languages and work as interpreters. So, to address this issue, the Army specialized training program was set up where soldiers who work in the decoding room learned other languages very fast through language drills and practice. So later on, Professor Nelson Brooks of Yale University coined the word audiolingualism in 1964. So he said that teaching a foreign language needs oral abilities to communicate, meaning in order to teach foreign language as well as communicate effectively, it should require or someone should possess the listening and speaking skills. Since we have two eras, the pre-method era, where the emergence of non-scientific methods like GTM and direct method, and method era where we have scientific method like audiolingual method. So audiolingual method basically appeared in the 20th century. So it is a scientific method because it is based on two approaches, the structuralist and behaviorist approach. Next, we have audiolingual approaches. So, like what I have said earlier, we have two approaches. So, the first, we have the theory of language, which is based on structuralism. So, it is introduced by the famous Swiss linguist Ferdinand de Saussure, who is known as the father of modern linguistics. It is also associated with behaviorism theory. So, structural view to language is the view behind the audiolingual method. So, this approach focuses on examining how the elements of language related to each other in the present, that is synchronically rather than diachronically. So, it was also argued that linguistic signs were composed of two parts: a signifier, the sound patterns of a word, and a signified, the concept or meaning of the word. So the study of language aimed to describe the performance, the parole, as it is the only observable part of language. And second, we have the theory of learning, which is based on behaviorism. So, it is associated with the famous scholar Ivan Pavlov, John Watson, and Frederick Skinner, who made great contribution in the field of learning. So, behaviorism is a philosophy of psychology based on the proposition that all things which organisms do, including acting, thinking, and feeling, can and should be regarded as behaviors. It contends that learning occurs through associations, habit formation, and reinforcement. Because when the learner produces the desired behavior and is reinforced positively, it is likely that behavior was imitated again. So next is the goals. So Brooks summarizes objectives of audiolingual method into two categories. So first we have the short range objective and the second one is the long range objective. So in short range objectives, learners practice listening comprehension of target language, correct pronunciation, recognition of printed speech symbols, and ability to practice these graphic symbols in writing form. So Brooks stated that these immediate objectives imply three others. First, control of the structures of sound, form, and order in the new language. Second, acquaintance with vocabulary items that bring content into these structures. And third is the meaning in terms of the significance these verbal symbols have for those who speak the language natively. On the other hand, in long-range objectives, learners must be able to speak language as a native speaker speaks. Moreover, there must be some knowledge of a second language as a true bilingualist has knowledge of second language. So next one is the syllabus. So audiolingual method stands on a pure linguistic syllabus. So it contains basic elements of linguistics like phonology, morphology, syntax, and semantics. And for advanced level students, a lexical syllabus is also included that contains necessary vocabulary stock. So next is that all the language skills, listening, speaking, reading, and writing are covered in the syllabus. So the language is presented orally first in form of basic sound patterns, and later on, learners go into written representation of those sound patterns in early phase of learning. So additionally, the initial phase of learning is confined to the audiolingual and gestural visual bands of language behavior. So memorization, repetition, and imitation make the learner to recognize and discriminate basic written patterns. And after familiarization with sounds pattern in lingual and written form, learners concentrate to enlarge their vocabulary. And finally, gaining accuracy and fluency is the last phase of learning. So next is the principles of audiolingual method. So we have 5 of them. And first we have foreign language learning is basically a mechanical process of habit of formation. So here, audiolingual method views language learning as a habit formation and when we say habit formation, it is the process by which behaviors become automatic. So habits can form without a person intending to acquire them, but they can also be cultivated or eliminated to suit one's personal goals. So the same way we develop our habits, we can learn the language. So suppose that if we want to learn how to ride a bicycle, we should ride it today, tomorrow, until we master the skill. So the same thing for learning the language. We should always listen, should be exposed to text dialogues, we should always listen to it. We should always speak it and use it for our everyday life. So the more we use the language, the more we can learn and master it. So as to develop this habit formation, we should always repeat what we learn, memorize new words, and use it in our real life scenarios or situation. So this is how audiolingual method views a language. It's like a mechanical process of habit formation. So second is the errors are barriers for habit formation. Communication is the prior purpose. So in audiolingual method, errors should be eradicated. The teacher should stop any mistake once once it pops up, because in audiolingual method, it believes that errors and mistakes are obstacles for developing this habit formation. So communication is the prior purpose. So just like a direct method, no, audiolingual method intends to improve, promote, and foster the communicative skills, because as I mentioned before, no, this method was designed for the purpose of teaching army. So the soldiers need to communicate with each other and with foreigners. That's why audiolingual method tries as much as possible to foster these communicative skills. So the third one is the language learning can happen by memorizing and repeating dialogues and chunks of language, drills, and substitutes exercises. So, language learning can happen by memorizing. So, this is some of the techniques of audiolingual methods. So, students memorize the words, phrases, and the chunks, no, repeating in audiolingual method. So, we have too much repetition. So, students should always repeat the target language, word structure, dialogues, proverbs, chunks, etc. So, drills like repeated and substitution exercises. So, maudyo na siya ang ginagamit sa audiolingual method. So, Mr. Hersalia will continue the discussion.
Good day, everyone. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Richard Hersalia, and now I am going to continue the discussion about the principles of audiolingual method. So, the fourth principle of audiolingual method is that learning takes place inductively. So, it means that it takes place inductively, by which the students are being exposed to the language through listening, and then they will going to speak out what they have heard. So that's it for the fourth principles. So the fifth one is it is based on stimulus, response, and reinforcement. So those three elements are the most important elements in audiolingual method, by which there is someone or a teacher will going to introduce stimulus or stimuli, and then the students will going to respond in that stimulus. So for example, the teacher will going to pick a pencil, and then the teacher will going to say that, okay class, this is a pencil. So this is a pencil. And then as a response, the students will going to say pencil. So by that, the students already learn what is that, or know what is the thing that being introduced by their teacher, and then they will also know how to pronounce the word pencil through those stimulus, or through listening to their teachers. And then the third one is reinforcement process, by which reinforcement process is the most important thing if we will going to focus, or the most important thing in the learning process of the students, by which the students will become motivated through the reinforcement that the teacher or kanang ginahatag sa teacher sa ila. Let's say for example, the students committed, or the students became fluent on the certain language. So the teacher will going to give them a positive reinforcement. It may be tangible, by which they will going to kanang madala ni sila balay, mapahinambong niya siyang parents that the teacher gave them those awards because the students or siya is kanang nahimo siyang fluent through sa language, and he will become, or the students will become fluent as a native speaker of that language. So otherwise, if the student committed error or committed mistakes, then there are things nga ma-reinforce sa teacher. So reinforce, by which still the student will become motivated and become kanang continue to learn the language, though kanang makakommit siya og kanang mistakes. So and then it focuses on fluency and the avoidance of errors. So because this is the main purpose of audiolingual method, to make the students become fluent on a certain language. Let's say for example, English language. So like us as a students, we are our purpose is to become fluent on that certain language, as fluent as a native speakers of that language. So through this audiolingual method, the students will become fluent because they will be being exposed, or they will always listen to that to the language day by day, or become habit. So become habit nga kanang they will kanang every time nga kuan is that every time nga kuan is kanang maminaw sila or listen to the language, especially to the teachers using those language, like English teacher saying, introducing his or her discussion through English speaking. So by that, the student become fluent on a certain language because in audiolingual method, kanang ang process ani is through practicing day by day. So the students through practicing mugawas na dara ang quote nga practice makes improvement. So like what I have said, that through practicing, the students will become able to, or will be able to become fluent on a certain language. So those are the 5 principles of audiolingual methods.
So next we have the roles of learners and teachers. So the role of the teacher here is like an orchestra leader. So she or he just lead the process and provide students with a good model for imitation. So if the teacher is using a dialogue, she or he should act out the dialogue and ask students to do what she or he do to imitate her or him. So this is the technique of imitation. So students are imitators. So like what I have said earlier, students will just follow their teacher. They will repeat after her or him, and they will imitate what she or he does. So this concludes my discussion part, and I will give the floor to Mr. Hersalia.
So now let's discuss about the limitations of audiolingual method. So the first limitation is equal importance is not given to all 4 language skills. So how comes nga ang importance is dili mahatag or are not given to all 4 language skills? So the reason for that, because audiolingual method only focuses on the 2 language skills, by which those skills is namely the speaking and the listening, or the listening and speaking, and it doesn't focuses on reading and writing. Those are the 4 language skills: the speaking, listening, reading, and writing. But audiolingual method only focuses on the 2, which is the listening and speaking, by which the students will like what I have said a while ago nga, the students is being exposed through the language, in the language through listening, and then they will going to speak out what they have listened, and they will become fluent on that certain language because kanang na practice, or they will going to practice it day by day as a kanang somehow mahimo ng habit sa student. And then the second one is meaning is neglected and only language form is considered. So it means that through audiolingual method kanang dili na kay siya naga-focus pod sa meaning, because it is only focusing on the fluency and the pronunciation of the language or the words that is being introduced to the students. Let's say for example, like example na a while ago nga, if the students kanang if the teacher per se kanang rather nga maghatag og input, like what I have said a while ago nga magpunit ang teacher of pencil, then the teacher will going to say that, okay class, this is pencil, and that word is kanang foreign pa sa sa student, kanang wala pa sila kabalo kung unsa ng pencil. So ang ilang nabalaan is that how to pronounce the word which is the pencil, and then wala sila kabalo if unsa din ang pencil, what is the main meaning of the pencil, what is the purpose of the pencil. So ang ilang nabalaan is how to pronounce the word, what is unsa na siya nga language, and how to pronounce it correctly and fluently. So that is why meaning is neglected and only language form is considered. So the third one rather it is teacher centered. So it is teacher centered in terms that the teacher is the one who manipulate the students through because the teacher have the right to kanang kung unsa ang gusto sa teacher is mo'y buhaton sa students. Let's say for example, kung mag-introduce ang teacher of kanang Chinese language, so the teacher is the one who introduce the stimulus, and only the students will going to mimic or imitate what the teacher is saying. So for example, mingon ang teacher dira og kanang Chinese word nga kanang foreign maginastuwa, like like a Filipino, we are foreign, the Chinese language is foreign to us. So if unsay gusto sa teacher, then mo po na ibuhaton sa mga students. So that is why it is teacher centered. So next is the last limitation is it is mechanical. So it is mechanical in terms that audiolingual method is the learning process of audiolingual method is through process by which the students will going to listen to the drills or introduce. The teacher will going to introduce stimulus and dialogues by which the students will going to listen from it, and then the students out from listening it, the students will going to speak out what are the things that they have listened. Kanang kung unsa tong kanang things or unsa tong word nga ilang nadunggan is mapudto ilang i-pronounce, how the words being pronounced sa ilang gipaminaw, then mapudto ilang i-imitate. Kumbaga sila lang naga-imitate lang sila sa language. That is why kanang somehow mahimo silang fluent because kanang gina-imitate lang gid nila ang kanang language, kanang di wala sila laing buhaton or wala sila laing idagdag sa pronunciation. Only those things nga kung unsa ilang nadungog mo ra gid pudto ilang i-voice out. So that was the limitations of the audiolingual method. So in conclusion, the audiolingual method aims to develop communicative competence of students using dialogues and drills. So like what I have said a while ago, that audiolingual method is kanang used as a kanang mahimo na ning habit sa students so that the students will become fluent on a certain language, as fluent as the native speakers. Kanang kumbaga mahimo na ang mga students mura na og kanang native speakers of that language through only kanang listening only to the language. So because the use of dialogues and drills are effective in a foreign language, in learning a foreign language, teaching as they lead to the students to produce speech. So repetition and dialogues and the drills will enable the students to respond quickly and accurately in spoken language. So like what I've said a while ago, dili importante nga ang students, dili siya important kanang dili na kinahanglan nga ang student is mag-add pag something about those things nga ilang napamina, kundi what are the thing nga ilang na dungog is that maura po to ilang i-voice out through those kanang input or the stimulus nga gitudlo ba sa ilaha or the dialogues nga gi-play sa teacher sa para ilahang i-mimic or i-imitate. So I guess that would be all for my discussion. Thank you for listening, and again, this is Richard Hersalia signing off.